I'm Shay Russell for mining.com.au, once again coming to you from the RIU Sydney Resources Round-up. I have said that a lot in the past 2 days. Joining me is a man who probably doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. Andrew Vigar, Executive Chair for Terra Uranium.
It's a pleasure to be here, Shay. Thanks for coming down for the conference in Sydney.
It's a great conference to actually come down to. And we're going to touch on some of the themes and common questions you're being asked. But first and foremost, let's talk about Terra, who's just going from strength to strength at the moment. You've got a new acquisition underway.
We have, and we've got a poster right behind you on that. And it's a major acquisition for us because it takes us from being an explorer. We're still focused on making a major discovery in the Athabasca, but adds a project which we can not only work at lower cost, but has already a resource on it. So it's been drilled to the extent that the mineralisation is confirmed, and we've got 15.3 million pounds of resource on that one. It's under the Canadian system, so we'll be working over the next year to bring that up to compliant with JORC. There's very little difference though.
Now, one thing you just mentioned, or that we've talked about over the past couple of our interviews, you've been expanding, or Terra Uranium, not you personally, has been expanding your presence in the Athabasca region of Canada. Now, this isn't an area a lot of Australians know about. Why are you wanting to fill your portfolio with these projects out there?
The Athabasca has the largest and highest grade deposits in the world. Most investors will have heard of Cameco. They're a major player. They have 2 of the 3 mills in the basin. And the third one is owned by Orano, which is French, and is connected to the French nuclear industry. People would know that France has the largest percentage of nuclear power in the world, but the largest fleet of reactors in the world is still the US, and of course that's also right next door to Canada. So we're targeting areas where we could find very large high-grade deposits, but also close to markets and close to mills. So that's why we're where we are in the Athabasca. That's the place to be.
Yeah, it's quite a strategic move that you're making. For everybody listening, that's the bell to tell us the presentation's happening again. The joys of recording on the go at a conference and making it all work on the spot. Now, let's actually talk about the conference, because you've been coming here for a couple of years. You're quite selective with some of the conferences you go to. So what common questions are you seeing people asking about Terra Uranium while you've been here?
Oh, we've had lots of questions, but I might say if that's the bell, I thought it was the bell ringing to say people should buy our stock, because they should. Or maybe like a listing. You can edit that out if you like.
Absolutely not. That's gorgeous.
But we're an exploration company, and especially bringing Amer Lake in brings us with pounds on the books. So we go from being a wannabe to actually having a deposit, and that should significantly re-rate the company. I understand that people are waiting for that deal to close, and we're still a couple of months away from that closing. But when it does, and that'll make a big difference. So we'll have a known deposit at the bulk low end stage, and also the higher grade targets, which we're still chasing in the Athabasca.
How's the reception to uranium right now? Because as commented before, there's not a lot of uranium companies here. That bell's about to get really loud. So are you finding people are inquisitive about it? Uranium's come off the boil a little bit, the spot price has fallen. The fact that I am persisting through this madness.
Thanks very much for the bell. The uranium price has come off a little. It came off its highs from January. It dropped down to about 84. It's back up to 94 now on very, very thin volumes. So we are really expecting it to take off. I think a lot of people are waiting for that to happen. So they're sort of sitting on the sidelines. We expect that to happen in the next month or two, and it'll hit above 100 again, and that will be, you always have a little consolidation, and this is really taking us into that next leg up, and it's going to go well above the last peak. So, because as people would understand, with nuclear power, the cost of the uranium is a very small component of the total cost. So whether it's $100 or $200 or $300 a pound doesn't affect the cost of the electricity generated hardly at all. So there's no real upside, and I think we've now put a floor under it. So
everybody listening should absolutely pay attention to what Andrew said, because I interviewed Andrew around this time last year, and he put a couple of price points in for the uranium spot price of where it needed to be. You called it to perfection. You were right. The spot price hit over £70 and people just stormed into uranium stocks. So absolutely pay attention to the comments that he just made about the uranium spot price. But before we wrap up, what are you looking for here today?
We just talk to investors. We've already had some nice in-depth conversations with a couple. We find at these conferences there's always half a dozen or so who want to know more about nuclear and what's happening, and we come along and sit down and have a chat, just as we've just done. So that's why we're here.
Listen, Andrew, you've given everybody a sneak peek of what happens with the bell ringing and everything of what happens at these conferences. This is awesome. Now, I've said this before, I am watching with keen interest with what's happening at Terra. You yourself have an extreme pedigree of pulling together great projects, and I just know that Terra has a very exciting future ahead. Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.